Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to make a really quick video about the young professional scheme for India, which is open at the minute. Obviously, many of y'all have applied for this over the last 1.5 days, and there are few of y'all who are still struggling and are considering to apply for it in the next sort of half day or 1 day that is remaining. For those of you who haven't already applied, obviously be aware that the deadline for it is the 2nd of March at 2:30 in the afternoon, Indian Standard Time. So that is a deadline that you need to keep in mind. You need to go on the online portal, make an application, and possibly submit that sort of request to the open ballot. There will be people who will be selected randomly, and there are about 2,400 visas that will be granted to these 2,400 random people through the ballot scheme. Now, obviously, this is a random selection, so there is no way to ensure that people who put in their visa application first were the people who will be granted the visa. So even if you haven't done this already but are interested in making this application, feel free to go and do so right now. Now, just coming to a few important questions, especially for those of y'all healthcare professionals out there on my YouTube and Instagram accounts. These are relevant questions that I think will influence y'all, and which is why I am going to be discussing this in the context of the young professional scheme visa that is going to be there. So firstly, the most important question I think is thinking about whether the young professional scheme visa is more important than the health and care worker visa, and what are the advantages and the disadvantages. So firstly, just to have a brief summary and a recap, the health and care worker visa will only be granted to you if you have a job in the UK and are sponsored to work as a healthcare professional in the UK. So that means that you need to have a job even before you apply for this visa. Whereas for the young professional scheme visa, you do not need a job, you do not need IELTS. You can just apply through this open ballot system, and if you are selected based on luck, you will be granted the permission to apply for this visa. Now, that is the first and the major difference. The second major difference is obviously in terms of costs. So just in terms of the health and care worker visa, for those of y'all who don't know already, I am a big fan for it because the cost for the health and care worker visa is very, very low. Whereas for the young professionals visa, obviously the cost for this is really high at the minute, because it's nearly 240 pounds just for application, and over that you need to pay about 940 pounds, which is obviously the IHS. And obviously all of that is a massive cost for you, especially if you are somebody who doesn't have a job or who doesn't even have the money to sustain yourself in the UK at the minute. The third major difference is obviously that the health and care worker visa is for 3 years and the young professional scheme visa is for 2 years. So that is another major difference that you need to keep in mind before you consider this. Now, just in terms of some other bits, what is the sort of advantage for the young professional scheme visa? The young professional scheme visa is obviously granted to people who do not have an IELTS score, do not have a job application, or do not have a work sponsored for them in the UK. So if you come on this particular visa route, you will be granted the opportunity to come into the UK and search for a job, and possibly go directly for interviews and maybe try and expand your horizons even as a physiotherapy assistant or a rehab assistant. Which is obviously not available to you on the health and care worker visa, because obviously you need a job. Secondly, the other thing that the young professional scheme obviously offers you as a potential is for you to come and experience a different culture without basically thinking about a job. But you need to be mindful that obviously the UK is in massive crisis right now in terms of cost of living. So if you do not have the finances to support yourself even for the next 2 or 3 months in the UK, then I would suggest think carefully about even applying for the young professional scheme, because obviously you will be coming to the UK without a job. So that means that you will need to find sources of income for yourself. So if you do not have money saved for yourself for the next 2 to 3 months, then I would say you really need to consider if you want to come under the young professional scheme. So that was the first topic that I wanted to discuss with you all. The second topic that I really want to talk about is, can you get dependents? Because somebody emailed me recently saying, can I get my 1-year-old baby? And the answer is, on the young professional scheme, you cannot get any dependents. Whereas on the health and care worker visa, obviously, they are more than happy to sponsor your dependents because you have a job role and they are knowing that you will sort of support yourself and your family members via the job role. The third sort of important question is, what about licensing? So obviously, as you are aware, if you are applying under the health and care worker visa, you need to have either your HCPC or your NMC registration so that you can obviously apply for a job, get a sponsorship. Whereas for the young professionals visa, you do not need any licensing at the minute. So you can even apply for this visa if you are in the middle of your NMC registration or your HCPC application. So that is another positive for the young professionals visa. Now, I think those are the few points that I wanted to cover in this video, and I hope that they've given you some clarity. If they have, do not forget to like this video. But if you have any other questions, let me know in the comment section below. Also, people who've applied for this visa successfully, let me know in the comments below, because I know that the site crashed yesterday. But yes, good luck guys, and I hope to see you in the UK soon.